he sort of would stop breathing when we were at home, and I'd be feeding him and thinking he sort of was going a bit of a funny colour. And it's so funny when it's your own child, even as a doctor, it's really hard to like make decisions about, well, that doesn't seem quite right. And I had to ask somebody else.
Really?
It's really, I can't really explain it, but you just become a mum.
Yeah.
Not a doctor. He's crying, gripping the thing. He got to the hospital, he drove past the door. I got out, and it was as soon as I stood up, because I'd been in the car for like 3.5 hours, obviously the pressure. And then I was like, I was crawling in. I just felt like saying to him, just for once, say no to a photo. He's always so lovely.
But your wife is crawling on the floor in labour.
Oh, God. That was the point where I was like, get me inside. I'm about to die. I hadn't even taken paracetamol. Yeah, I haven't really spoken really about her birth and what happened afterwards, because it was so hard and awful.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Happy Mum, Happy Baby, the podcast. Today's guest is an NHS doctor. She's a best-selling author. She's married to Peter Andre. She has 3 children, and she's got a new book out called The Incredible Things Your Body Can Do. It's Dr Emily MacDonagh. Hello. I've saying to you before, I only know you as Dr Emily on Instagram. Emily.
Just Emily's
but
fine.
I just didn't twig in my head that you're not Emily Andre. I just think, unless we've been somewhere, because we've done some things together, and I wonder if someone's accidentally put Emily Andre on like invites and stuff.
Sometimes, I guess sometimes people do refer to me as Andre. They don't realise that our surname actually has an A on the end, but then that ends up really confusing people. So I go with Andre. Andre's fine. My work name is MacDonagh, which is also a complete mouthful that no one can ever spell, but you pronounced it absolutely correctly.
Because I used to be best mates with a person called Charlotte MacDonagh.
Did you actually? It's a really unusual
name.
So
my worry was calling you Charlotte rather than Emily.
Charlotte's a nice name. I'll take that. No, you pronounced it perfectly. I've had all sorts of mispronunciations of my name.
Tell me about it. No one can say Giovanna.
Really?
No. I'm always like, put the van in it.
Giovanna.
You are about to publish a brand new book. You've already published loads over the years, and this is a different area for you. It's for 3 and up. Mm-hmm. It's a picture book, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's here, The Incredible Things Your Body Can Do. Tell me about it. Why did you want to create it? And it must be so weird after, I know it's a picture book and the others are, more words.
Yeah.
But picture books actually take a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I was so happy to write it because obviously we've had a baby. She's now a year old. So I'm thinking, actually, this is great. I've got a book now that in a little bit of time, she'll be able to read it as well. So it kind of was just a nice follow-on from my last 3. The last 3 were more aimed at kind of older kids, say sort of 8 to 11 sort of an age. Yeah. And so it was just lovely to do something for younger kids. And this is really focused much more around the physical body. So I've kind of done a bit on all the different systems in the body and how they work. Because I think, there's lots of things that kids find funny or silly to talk about, like poo and wee and things like that. So there's a little bit about that in there and like how the body works, because it is quite fascinating. It's quite amazing.
It's really fascinating. And, I love the fact that you've created something that you can enjoy with Arabella as well.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't have anything that I've written that I can actually share with my kids. They don't want it.
They will do, though.
One day. They are all about the dinosaur that pooped, though. That's my house, But I love the fact that you've brought something into the house as a mum that's gone, no, this is mum's work.
Do you know what? It's so funny. They actually find it hilarious that I've written books.
Really?
Yeah. Millie went on a school trip recently and she was a little bit nervous, or she was going away for about 4 or 5 days. Yeah. And she took one of my books with her because it had some little bits in. It was my book for kind of mental health, so it had little bits in it about how you cope with feeling a bit worried or feeling a bit sad. And I was just so happy that she took it with her. We went through some of the bits before, it had like some breathing exercises in it and, things, ways to, think of things that make you feel calm, going to your safe place, all of those things. And she took it with her in her suitcase. And I said, when she got home, I said, did you read it? Did you need to read it? And she said that she did. She read it on one of the days.
Oh,
I was so happy. And my puberty book, I've read that with her as well, which is so helpful.
Really?
It was so funny. I was reading it going, this is actually quite good. This is quite handy.
It's an amazing thing though, right? Because I think when you're writing, those words come out, but it's when you revisit it and you go, oh,
yeah,
I did that.
Yeah, that bit was good. And it was actually really lovely because I wrote it with my mum, who's a paediatrician. I was just able to ring mum and go, that bit was really good we did there, mum. That bit was fab. And she's laughing at me. Obviously, she's so knowledgeable. It's been so amazing to work with her on it. So, it was sweet.
Yeah. and now with the picture book, it's that thing of getting even younger children in tune with their bodies and understanding it. You know, I love the fact that you're reaching out to all ages.
Yeah. And it's nice. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm writing another book at the moment, which is kind of the other end of the spectrum. So slightly older kids, maybe teenage years, a bit more. That will come out at some stage. So I'm kind of trying to cover.
It's amazing because I think it's that thing is as kids, we all go through stages where we don't quite know what is going on and how to manage that. But as a parent, you also don't know what is the right thing to say. And I would imagine that as a doctor, you can be very listened to. As a parent, not always.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So having a book where everything is written down, it's a much easier way of kind of going, read this, and you reading it as well to understand what that dialogue should consist of.
Yeah, and it's really interesting you say that because about the puberty thing again, when I was talking to Millie about it and saying, we need to have some of these conversations, she was a bit like, oh, it's embarrassing and I don't want to, even though I say to her, it's not embarrassing to me. Yeah. I have to see all sorts of things at work and nothing's embarrassing. But when we actually sat down and looked at the book together, it just gave us that opportunity to start the conversation in a kind of a non-embarrassing way. She just was fine about it. So I don't know whether it's something, even though she knew I'd written it, whether it was just something about seeing it written down or having that bit of extra time to process it. The drawings and things are always helpful. But it somehow was just really helpful.
Yeah.
And I've had such lovely feedback. I think I always say this, apart from the kids, the books are the thing I'm most proud of. I think because I love books as well. Yeah. I'm a real bookworm. So I just love the fact that I've been able to write a book.
And it's a gorgeous thing to be able to sit down and read those books with your children.
I just feel so lucky to have been able. It was like a dream of mine that I've been able to do. So
it's amazing.
Nice.
It's absolutely amazing. Tell me about your childhood. You are one of 5.
Correct. I was.
You are the
I'm
eldest
one
of 5.
Yeah, I've got 4 little brothers who aren't very little anymore.
You're the only girl.
I'm the only girl. I'm fully outnumbered. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's me and 4 boys.
How much younger are they? What's the age?
So the first 4 of us are within 7 years.
Wowza.
And then my little brother is 16 years younger than me.
Right.
So he's at medical school now in Bristol, which is really nice because I went to medical school in Bristol. So it's kind of like come full circle. So yeah.
And both of your parents are in that field of doctors and paediatricians.
Yeah. So my mum's a paediatrician, dad's a urologist. So yeah, and one of my other brothers is a doctor. One's now training to be a doctor. And the other 2 decided we're not going anywhere near that. It's way too stressful.
What are they doing?
So one of my brothers works in finance and the other works in sales. So they both they both live in London, which is quite nice.
That's pretty amazing though for 2 doctors to essentially breed 3 doctors.
Yeah, I know. I said they've got a 3 out of 5 hit rate on the.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. What was home life like?
Like lovely, really.
Chaotic?
Yeah, quite busy.
Really?
Because my parents always worked full time. My mum's like, such a hard worker, and my dad, he'd be operating and then he'd come home. And like, I remember, because now you can't do this, but this was like when I was really young, he used to be able to bring home things like kidney stones in little jars. And he'd be, obviously now you're not allowed to, but then it was fine. And be like, oh my God, look kids, look at this. I remember being like, wow, that's so cool that you could do that. But, I remember them doing night shifts and yeah, it was busy. And there was one stage where all 5 of us were at a different school because I was at college. One of my brothers was at one school, the other was at another school, the other was at primary, and then my little brother was at nursery.
The logistics of 7 people being really, really busy and in different places.
Yeah, it was crazy. But it was like very country lifestyle. We were outside a lot. My parents had a whistle. So we'd be like
very fun
out like up a tree somewhere or something and you'd hear the whistle. And that means like come in for dinner.
I need to get myself a whistle.
It's
because
so good.
It's literally me opening the back door and going, boys!
Yeah,
boys!
you need a whistle. Like just a football whistle, like a loud one.
Yeah.
And then we'd come in from wherever we were, come and eat. But yeah, it was.
Love that.
I had a lovely time, really.
Did your mum and dad have help?
So they worked full time.
Yeah.
So we did. Yes, they did. They had to have help because there were so many of us in all different places. But we always had dinner together. I think at the time from when I sort of remember, the nights had reduced a bit. They were kind of both consultants by that level, so it gets a little bit easier. They did still have to do some nights, but they were mainly at home. So we always had dinners together, weekends. And I remember the family holidays. I think that's the thing you really remember a lot.
Yeah.
We used to go to France and go camping and things like that.
Yeah. Did it make you think like ahead to the future and what life would look like with your own family?
I think so. I think I always wanted a big family. I'd always said I wanted 3 kids. And it was only after, I think it was actually just before I got pregnant with Belle, I suddenly thought, oh my God, I always wanted 3. Maybe we should have another. And then Pete said to me, oh my God, I've always wanted 5. And that was a moment we were like, oh, maybe we should have another baby. But yeah, I think I always did want a big family. I like just the kind of closeness of a family unit. But it's not always easy,
No.
I think I didn't quite realise how tough it can be being a parent.
Really?
Well, you don't know what you're doing, really,
But
do
even
you?
seeing your mum and dad juggle so much with 5 kids, but
Yeah.
probably why you lowered it to 3. Let's make it a little bit
Pete's one of
easier.
6. He lowered it to 5. So
yeah. But it's that thing, isn't it? I guess if you've seen parents juggling it, but you don't really see the intricate details of what that juggle
don't.
actually is.
you don't see what's going on in the
Yeah.
background. I remember things like getting up so early in the morning that Sesame Street hadn't even come on the telly yet because the telly would just be blank. So I dread to think what time of the morning that was.
Yeah.
Probably 5.
Yeah.
And my dad making lunch boxes, like lining them up and doing like one after the next.
Yeah.
And me and the boys just being awake from ridiculously early. And just those things you just don't twig. And then he was obviously, him and my mum going off and doing a full day's work, coming home. And it's you don't see all the little bits that
No,
parents
you
do
don't.
until you have your own kids.
Yeah.
You don't think about where the toilet roll comes from miraculously.
Don't, do
That's
you?
just there.
Yeah.
Or the washing powder or whatever it is. These things just get replaced.
They do.
They just appear.
Like fairies.
Yep,
Fairies
there's food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, you don't think of it
You don't.
until you do it.
Obviously, when you met Pete, he already had 2 children.
Yeah.
So you are instantly put in that role.
Yeah.
Not straight away of stepmom, but that is a role
Yeah,
you are instantly kind of, you've got 2 children in your lives straight away.
It's sort of built slowly because I think I wouldn't expect to step into that role
Yeah.
immediately. And I was young as well, so I think we were always really cautious in the beginning about, how much I was around. And we joke about this now with the kids. It's so funny. But we didn't share a bedroom for the first year that we were together. Yeah, because when the kids were there. Because he wanted to be respectful and, and I actually really admired that at the time, that he always would put them first and everything. I thought that was really lovely.
Must have all felt, or did it feel daunting being early 20s and suddenly finding yourself in that role?
Yeah, a little bit it did,
Yeah.
I think. But I think the fact that it kind of developed slowly was what sort of made it manageable. And I say this, and I promise I'm not just saying this, they're so lovely. Honestly, in, I don't know how many years now, probably we must have been together 14 years, something like that. Long anyway. I honestly think I've told them off less times than I could count on one hand.
Really?
Sit between them. Like, they're so lovely. They've made it so easy for me.
Yeah.
It's not been, I think about all the years really fondly. Like, they're just great.
Yeah.
You'd have thought we would have fallen out at some point, or I'd have had to really have a go at them about something. Like, no.
I think, and I've said this a lot on the podcast, the role of a stepmum or a step-parent is a really special one. And if done well, it's such an honour to be able to be that extra caregiver, that extra bit of guidance, that extra bit of stability in a child's life. I think it's really beautiful.
Thank you. I think it's, I always feel lucky that they've kind of accepted me into their family. And I think then when we had Millie and Theo and Belle as well, it kind of even cements you more as a family. But I always feel like, I'm not their mum, and that's something that I always have to, make sure I tread that line carefully. And I think I always see it a bit more like being a big sister, which I don't know if that's the right way to look at it. But I think, I always try and give them guidance, but I wouldn't kind of overstep that.
Yeah.
Like I obviously try and support them like I would do with my kids. I was trying be the same. I'm quite strict though on my kids. Yeah, that's what I always say to the auditors. Lucky there's an age gap, because then you guys don't need to worry. Like, silly rules I have about like screen time and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, you guys can be exempt because you're older. The age gap's enough that my kids don't ask the question, well, why are they allowed to have the screens?
Yeah, that's all right. That's good.
So it's all right.
Yeah,
the age gap's enough.
Talk to me about you and Pete, kind of when you decided to start trying for a baby. Was that a big thing? Were you already talking about it?
So with Millie, I would say it was probably a bit more of a surprise. I was still at uni and those things, so it was a bit of a surprise. But absolutely so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I had her quite young, because now I feel like quite cool. Like quite a cool young-ish mum. So it was a bit of an adjustment for me at 24.
I mean, how was that? Like discovering that, still being at uni, still knowing that there's so much studying left to do.
Yeah.
And kind of going, that's a big curveball that might change.
It was a big curveball. The funny thing was, I knew I was going to finish my degree. Like that wasn't an option for me. I'd worked so hard for so long. I think people thought I would just drop it. Well, that was never going to happen. But after she was born, I went back full time to uni when she was about 7 months old or something. Right. But I was so focused because I had her at home that I knew I had to just get it in proportion here. Like I had her to look after and I had to study, but I could only do so much. And it was actually great. So where a lot of people, doing a medical degree is pretty stressful. They'd be up working till 4 or 5 in the morning and then up again at 7, getting no sleep. I couldn't do that because I was looking after her. So I kind of had my boundaries really in place and I was really chilled. I remember turning up for my finals. She was 10 months old when I sat my finals. And I remember turning up and thinking, I feel really calm, and everyone around was really stressed. And I was like, oh my God, am I missing something? And I didn't talk to anyone before I went into the exam because I thought, I can't deal with this stressfulness. I went in, put my head down, and they went really well. So I don't quite know how, but I think it somehow gave me a focus of like, get this in perspective.
Yeah.
Don't try and do everything that you can't do. Do your best and just, try and stay calm. Yeah. I don't cope well under stress. I just like to be
you?
Whew, calm.
I like this.
No, I'm not always calm.
Are you not?
No. No, not always. Try to be.
So first time round, before doing the test, did you have symptoms?
Yes, I just felt weird. I don't know, is that a thing?
Yeah, but because your hormones are doing things and you can feel a bit off. Yeah, absolutely.
It just felt very weird. And so I don't even know what made me do a test, to be quite honest with you. But I remember we'd gone away somewhere and I said to Pete on the plane, I was watching a movie and it had a baby in it. And I said to him, I don't know why, I just feel like I need to do a test.
Yeah.
And he was like, really? And then it was. And we were like, oh my God. Oh my God. What is going on?
I mean, how was the pregnancy? Because obviously you're studying throughout it still. Like at what point did you kind of go, I'm going to stop that? Because there's so much going on.
So it was quite bad because the way my university did it, they sort of split finals a little bit in 4th year and then kind of a main bulk in 5th year. So I had to do the first bit of it when I was about 10 weeks pregnant. So obviously no one knew I was pregnant, but I was really sick and trying to revise for these exams. And I just remember being like, oh God, this is awful. It was, I have to say, that was pretty bad. So I got through that. And then the sickness kind of really settled down. So it wasn't it was all right. But that was tough, trying to do the exams. And I was like, did you get sick in your pregnancies?
No, a bit of nausea, but nothing, no actual sickness.
No, I never actually vomited, but I just had that. I wish I had.
Yeah.
That sounds really weird to say.
No, I totally get that. Just that lingering
wanted to get
feeling
it out.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually, if I'm ever in the back in a car and I've got the phone in my hand, when I'm pregnant, I can't. That makes me feel sick, and it's kind of lingered actually in everyday life now.
So some of the things do linger.
Yeah.
So the smell of cooking chicken always made me feel sick when I was pregnant, and it still sort of does now.
Oh.
I don't know why.
It's bus fumes for me.
Oh
Yeah. Bus
No, I
exhaust.
understand
That sends me over. Still, yeah.
The funny thing was, I wasn't sick at all with Theo. Had not one day of sickness. I was the worst with Belle. I was sick, so nauseous up till like 20 weeks. So,
Wowza.
so it's a girl thing.
Maybe for you, the extra hormones
Yeah.
might be the thing that. I mean, I'm saying that to a doctor. You'll know more than me.
I don't know what the evidence is actually. There are myths, aren't there, that you get more sick with girls. That was definitely the case for me, but there might be no science behind it. I'm not sure.
Very true. How did you feel heading towards the birth? Because obviously, as a doctor or as a medical student at that time, you know things.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit not in denial. That's the wrong word, but I don't think I kind of expected it to happen.
Right.
It's almost like the pregnancy went
Didn't
too
expect the
slowly.
baby to come out.
No, not really.
Okay.
I just also she was 3 weeks early, which sounds
Right.
ridiculous, but I just wasn't quite ready.
Yeah,
for 3 weeks to go. You'd have thought I'd have been completely on it, but I actually did a bit of a silly thing because we were in Surrey, which is where we were living at the time, and we'd always planned we were going to go home to be with my mum and dad, and my waters went in like early morning. And I was like, this isn't the plan. Like, the plan is I'm going home. So I literally rang my mum and we were like, I'm just going to get in the car. So we did.
So let me play a little clip from Pete. I want to give you Pete's version of this. And then I want a fact check and a debrief from you. Okay.
And Mum goes, so how are you getting on? And I go, we're just fine. Everything's fantastic. I'm out of breath. I'm panicking. I'm in hysterics. She's there going, oh no, I think I'm 3 centimeters. She knew what she was. She was so calm. I'm crying. She's giving me tissues. She's absolutely calm. I'm going, hon, I just love you so much. Everything's going to be fine. Her mum's going, I need you to calm down, Pete. Like as if I'm going through labour, right? So we get to the place, and my brain's not working. I go straight past the entrance to find a parking spot, right? The mum's rushing out going, you need to reverse, you need to reverse. I reverse, I get out of the car. This lady comes up and goes, oh, can you do a photo with my son? Emily's going, we've got to go. I take the photo and then she goes, can we do one this way? Emily, I feel so bad when I think about this. I feel so bad. I'm there standing going, hey, thumbs up, fraud. She's going, get me inside.
Right, Emily, tell me what you just said.
That was pretty accurate. He was like very emotional the whole way down.
The whole drive?
Every time I'd be like, oh, my tummy's a bit sore. He's driving and you can see him gripping the Just like tears are coming down. Honestly, it was actually hilarious. And every time we would go past we'd go past Swindon.
Yeah.
We'd go past Bristol because we were obviously going out towards the West Country. And my mum was going, because I was getting quite a lot of pains. But I was saying to her, Mum, I don't think this is labour. I think I'm going to get to the hospital and they're just going to send me home and say, get in the bath and take some paracetamol. I said, I'm not even taking paracetamol because this isn't labour. It can't be, this is not it. Little did I know when I got there, I was 8 centimetres dilated. So I'd basically laboured the whole thing in the car.
Oh, my
because
gosh.
Going back to your point of you know everything, you were a medical student.
Yeah.
I thought I knew everything. I thought, first baby, this is going to take 24 hours.
Yeah.
No, she was out, rapidly.
I mean, I also like the fact that you were going, yes, I'm 3 centimetres.
I know, I was just I don't know if I used those words. I think I was going, no, this is not labour, this is just twinges. And my mum was going, are you sure? Pete's crying, gripping the thing. What happened though, what he was talking about, we got to the hospital, he drove past the door. And by that point, I was in a fair bit of pain.
Yeah.
So I said to him, go back. And he couldn't go back. So I got out. And it was as soon as I stood up, because I'd been in the car for 3.5 hours, obviously the pressure, then I was like, so I was crawling in. And he's so lovely, right? I just felt like saying to him, just for once, say no to a photo. He's always so lovely. People are so kind to him as well. So he always obviously does pictures of people.
But your wife is crawling on the floor in labour.
Oh, God. And that was the point where I was like, get me inside. I'm about to die. I hadn't even taken paracetamol. I'd taken nothing. So,
my
And then when they told
gosh.
me I was 8 centimetres, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's why it really hurts now. Oh, my goodness. And then she was born, like, within, I don't know, I don't think I was there more than 2 hours before she was born.
Really?
Yeah, she was out. And then so we left Surrey at like 7 in the morning, drove 4 hours. I was in hospital. She was born after a couple of hours. And I was at home having dinner with my mum and dad by 6 o'clock that night.
Oh,
I was out.
Gosh.
I was gone home with the baby. So I think that was such a quick.
Is that what you'd planned to do? Is that what you wanted? Just
wanted
give me the baby and go.
Yeah, I just wanted to get home.
Was your mum with you?
Yeah, my mum and dad were there. Yeah. Oh no, in the labour was just my mum. Yeah.
Right.
My dad was operating that day, so he
Okay.
was coming in and out. He had his little operating clogs on.
I mean, that must be such a surreal experience in a family of doctors. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very different outlook. Like, I can remember being sewn up after, getting some stitches down below, and Buzz trying to get him to latch. And somehow my dad had talked his way up to the delivery ward. I could just hear my dad's booming voice. My dad being on the delivery ward is very different to your dad being on the delivery ward, someone who actually has medical knowledge.
He was just popping in and out. And I remember my mum going, can you either come in or go out? But either way, can you just close the door? So he was just wandering in and out. Like, I'm very close to my dad, so it was fine. But I just remember seeing his little clogs, like the theatre clogs. He was in his scrubs. It was a very surreal experience.
Did it make you feel calm having them around?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I guess they've got quite a lot of experience of babies.
They do.
Having had 5 of them.
Yeah, 5 times, yeah.
But she was born so quickly that I think that was part of, when I said I wasn't quite prepared, I think that was the other thing that happened. Because one minute we were in Surrey, the next minute I was at my parents' with a baby. I remember she was in the Moses basket. We were eating dinner and I was like...
So surreal.
That was it. And I was really lucky because I didn't have any stitches. There was no complications or anything. So I kind of felt completely normal.
I can remember, Emily, I've just had a memory because when was Amelia born?
2014 in January.
In January.
Yeah.
So I had Buzz in the March. And I can remember having Buzz. And, because all bodies are different, right?
Yeah.
And I can remember really ballooning. And I can remember the front page of like OK or Hello magazine was a quote from you, which wouldn't have been from you. We all know how magazines work. It would saying, I only put on this amount. And be like, oh my God, that's not even the size of my baby.
See, I hate that. I'm so sorry.
No, but it's really important, I think, to kind of talk about that in the sense that actually media can they take these snippets of things that aren't necessarily what people have said or what people have experienced.
They ask you the question, I think, but then obviously you answer it.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a piece of information that you would have volunteered necessarily.
Also, I mean, I was being asked at that time, so have you thought about your fitness plan afterwards? I was like, he's still in me. I've got to get him out. I'm not thinking about, I'll be lucky if I can walk to the shops. But it's a really weird thing when you think 11 years ago how our bodies were being talked about when it came down to the fact that our bodies were growing humans. That should be the thing.
100%.
You don't need to apologise. Like, your body's your body, and also you were 24.
No, but I remember being upset about this because I remember people saying, and I never read comments anymore ever.
Oh, no,
I never
what's
read
the
them.
point?
But I remember reading comments of people saying, "Well, it's fine for you. You've got a chef and a personal trainer." And I remember, I still don't do any exercise. I'm really, really lazy. But I remember thinking, but I don't. That's just. She was born early as well, so don't forget. So I never got to the stage, when you start. Some people get fluid retention and things like that. That never really happened. And maybe being quite tall as well. I've always carried the
also
kids
different
quite small.
bodies. You know what I mean? Different bodies do different things.
It was just how it was. And I was 24.
Yeah.
And like you said, completely different to when I had Belle at how old was I? 34. But comparisons just shouldn't be made. I always say comparison is like the root of all
Yeah.
evil. It's just a stupid thing to do, to
Yeah.
compare people against each other, because it's just no two people are the same.
And also with something like that, we don't know what's going on mentally or with someone's recovery or anything like that. So
Yeah.
having something like that out there, which actually can be quite ostracizing, is so unhelpful to a new mum.
Yeah, it is. But I think, again, it's just comparing people up
Yeah.
against each other. There's just no point whatsoever.
Yeah.
I can promise you I didn't have a chef or a personal trainer. I think I just was, I don't know, they were
Good genes,
They-
and that's all right.
they were quite small babies. I
Yeah.
had quite little babies. Maybe I just don't. I don't. My mum, all of us were really big, and my mum's really tiny. And then when I'm really tall, and I had these little tiny babies. It's just, I don't know, but it's not right that that's done at all.
Getting pregnant the second time round, how was this? Was it kind of did you think about age gaps?
Does it
Did you-
merge into one for you? Because I feel like I forget what on earth is going on.
I feel like Buzz got to 15 months and we suddenly went, oh gosh,
We ought
if
to
we
have
wanted
another
to do
one.
your age gap, it's now.
So what's the age gap between your eldest two?
23 months for the top two and then 2.5 years between second and third.
Okay, so Millie and Theo are like 2 years, 10 months apart.
Right.
So we probably left it a bit longer than you did
Yeah.
before going, ooh, maybe now's the time. But yeah, I remember we sort of decided, and then the next minute it sort of happened.
But I guess finding out this time round, was it a bit more like, okay?
It was
Because I still feel
calmer.
like it's still a bit of a when there's a pregnancy test. Even if you're like, that's what you're aiming towards.
Yes, it's always a bit of a moment of like, okay, that's
Yeah.
real now.
Yeah.
Okay then. But I think my life was in a complete different place.
Yeah.
I was working. I had more of a support network around me because I'd been in Surrey longer by that point. So
Yeah.
I had like some friends and colleagues and people around me. Whereas I think when I went there after Millie was born, I'd literally moved in such a hurry. I didn't have one single person that I knew. So I was kind of on my own quite a bit, and that made it quite a lot harder. Whereas with Theo, I just was more established because I'd been working there and things like that. So it was easier from that perspective for sure.
Well, how did you feel heading into to this birth?
He was footling breech, which
What is
means his feet were the first thing presenting. So the
Right.
feet were right down at the bottom. And some people do choose to have a vaginal delivery in that situation. For me, I decided not to.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a risk of what's called a cord prolapse, which is where if your waters break, if the feet are down, there's nothing kind of blocking the exit, if you like. So it's a piece of the cord can come down first.
Right.
And then that's really dangerous. And I didn't want to take that risk. That was just my decision. Some people would weigh that up in a different way, but that was what I decided to do. Kind of had lots of backwards and forwards, chats about risk and benefit and all of that stuff. But he was also quite dinky. He was quite little, so there was kind of a bit of worries about his size and that he wasn't maybe growing quite how they wanted him to. And I also got lots and lots and lots and lots of Braxton Hicks. So I was kind of in hospital with they kept thinking I was going into labour from about 23 weeks onwards.
Wow.
Never did. They now wonder it was because his feet were down, just like,
Oh, yeah,
know, can't think what the word is, pattering away down below, whether that was kind of causing quite a lot of sort of mini contractions all the time. So all of that kind of happened. And because of his growth and things like that, he was born 3 weeks early as well. So, and he was really quite tiny and he was quite poorly after he was born. He went home normally, but then he was back in hospital after about a week because he didn't grow very well. And yeah, he got bronchiolitis.
It's a lot when you end up going back in.
Yeah, so he was admitted back in when he was about a week old with bronchiolitis. So yeah, it was funny actually. Well, it's not funny at all, but he sort of would stop breathing when we were at home, and I'd be feeding him and thinking he sort of was going a bit of a funny colour. And it's so funny when it's your own child, even as a doctor, it's really hard to make decisions about, well, that doesn't seem quite right. And I had to ask somebody else.
Really?
It's really, I can't really explain it, but you just become a mum, not a doctor.
Yeah.
And then when speaking to somebody else, they said, that's definitely not right. And then he got admitted to hospital after that and was really quite poorly. But it's so funny that decision-making capacity goes completely out the window.
Well, because also I guess as a doctor, you know so much that actually as a human, when you're not in doctor mode, you've got to filter out a lot of it. Otherwise, life would be very difficult if you're constantly risk assessing.
You would just overthink things. And I also think that's not my job with my own children.
Yeah.
My job's to be their mum, not to be their doctor. And that's why we have an amazing health service that if I'm worried about something, I take them to the GP. I don't, I remember someone commenting on a post I did recently where I talked about going to a walk-in health visitor clinic, which I find so helpful.
Yeah.
They can weigh the baby, they can give you advice on weaning. And someone wrote in the comments, I wish your posts were genuine. You're a doctor. Obviously, you wouldn't take your child to a health visitor clinic. And I just thought, what a myth that is, that a health professional wouldn't seek advice from another health professional. And there was a lovely lady who was actually at the same walk-in clinic I'd been to who commented and said, I was there on that day and I saw Emily there and she was there. And I thought, I'm so glad that, bless her, that she had said that, because I just thought, what a myth that someone who works for the health service.
Or that you'd be creating or saying something simply for what? For what purpose?
I honestly just thought, what a great resource. I'll quickly share this with everyone. That was all that was in my mind. But, I just thought that was a really interesting perception.
People can be interesting.
Yeah.
So how was the C-section? Because I understand that you were quite worried going into it, knowing as much as you do. How was that?
Do you know, it was actually quite calm.
Really?
I think because I had a 2-year-old as well, I always had that worry of what would I do if I went into labour?
Yeah.
Who would have her? How would I look after her? So we went down to the West Country again. Once we knew, because there's complications. There were never major complications, but they were starting to get a little bit like, oh, maybe we need to keep a closer eye on you. So we went down there, and then once the date was set, I felt quite calm.
Really?
Because I knew it was coming up.
Yeah.
Obviously worried about the procedure a bit, because I think what people forget is it's a major operation. It's a major surgery, and then kind of thinking about recovery and having a 2-year-old and a baby and all of those things. So I was nervous from that perspective.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Like, we understand it sort of as general humans, but you'd know medically what that is.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few C-sections.
So knowing that is happening to you,
it's a weird thought.
Yeah,
it's a very weird thought. But I think also I trust the professionals.
Yeah, and that's all you can do. Yeah,
because again, like, you go in there not as a doctor, you're going in as a patient, and I have to trust what they say. And do you know what? They've just been amazing. I had all my 3 children at Musgrove in Taunton, and they've just so fab. Yeah. It just makes me think, wow, the NHS is just brilliant. I know it's got issues, but how lucky that we can just walk in and get all this care for free. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
How did the 2 first experiences compare?
I think they were like similar in some ways, but also totally different. The C-section versus a natural delivery is just such a different, especially elective C-section, because it's so planned. And, you go in and you do all the questions and they put the cannula in and then you're there. You're like, next minute you're in theatre and the baby's out. I don't think people realise from like knife to skin to the baby being delivered can be literally a case of sometimes a minute or, really quick. It's like, oh my God, they're here. I loved the natural delivery. There's something about it that feels so instinctive and amazing. You feel like a real achievement at the end of it. But for me, I think there can be a stigma around having a C-section. I think people can be like, well, it's a failure. I've had a C-section. I just don't believe in that at all.
No.
I think everybody has the right to make that choice. And you obviously weigh up all the factors for you, for the baby and everything. And that's your own choice. I don't think anyone should feel a certain way about either option.
Absolutely. How was Pete in that setting?
He was fine, actually.
Was
Probably
he?
a bit calmer. He really shows his emotions, which I really love. When all the kids were born, he cries a lot and it's really sweet. So he'd said when I was pregnant with Belle, he said, I don't think I'm going to cry when she's born. He said, I just don't think I will. It's 5th child. I'm so used to this now. Oh my gosh, I think he cried more than any of the others.
Really?
I'll have to try and find some of the pictures to show you because he was so.
Well, he said, I remember him
sweet.
saying that he literally doesn't want any of the photos. He can't even look at them because he cried so much.
He really cried. He cried before she was even born.
Really?
Yes, when I was there lying on the on the thing. Yeah, he was.
Well, I guess right. So let's go into the third birth. How was this one going into this one, and also you had the same thing of me going into my third. I realised during it that that was going to be my last. And it's a really weird experience, really weird realisation.
Are you 100%?
I mean, I think so.
That's a no.
No, I think so. I'm 40 now. I think so. Yeah.
It's never, See, if you asked me that question, I could say 100%.
No, to be honest, though, mine are 11, 9 and 6. We're in a good place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
you're out of that stage.
Yeah. But obviously, I look at babies and go, "Oh, you're so sweet," and then I remember the sleepless nights and everything else. And yeah. I feel like I've done my time. You know.
You know what? And a family of with 3 kids is actually it's a really lovely dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think 3 is a lovely number.
Yeah. I feel like I want to enjoy what we've already created.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
It's a definite no from me. We're not having
really.
No.
Did you know that before going in?
Yes, I think so. And I think I found the pregnancy so much harder because I was so sick. I had just weird complications all the way through.
Really?
Yeah. Just things which it was just hard. It was just a lot harder. Maybe again because I was a bit older. But again, she was breech.
Mm-hmm.
I've had two breech babies, and because I'd already had a C-section and she was breech, so it was always planned that I was going to have another C-section. There was just the same thing. I had lots of funny contractions all the time. She actually made it nearly to 38 weeks. Mm-hmm. So she got almost a week. Well, I managed about another 5 days further than the other 2. She was also quite dinky.
Right.
I loved she had so much hair. You could see it on the scan. Did any of yours have this where you could see her hair like wafting? It was just so sweet. And then when she was born, she had tons and tons of dark hair. But yeah, I haven't really spoken really about her birth and what happened afterwards because it was so hard and awful. But yeah, like it was tough. Like I was really unwell after she was born. There was quite a lot of complications and I can't even believe this.
It's all right.
Oh my gosh, I talk about this all the time at home. I never get upset about it. But so I had to go back for emergency surgery. She was a week old, so I kind of had to hand her. That was the worst bit. I had to kind of hand her over and go in for another operation.
What had happened?
So I had like a really rare. All the consultants I've seen have said we've never seen this in our whole career, and then I think, oh, for God's sake, why did it have to happen to me? I basically developed a really rare type of hernia that was quite large, and this is really actually quite disgusting to talk about. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, kind of part of my bowels were kind of in the wrong place. That's essentially the way to say it. So,
right.
And the type of hernia that it was can strangulate quite easily, and then that ends up really being an emergency. So I knew things weren't right after she was born because I had a big, huge lump in my tummy kind of sticking right out. And so they got me back after a week to kind of follow me up. And they said that we need to get the surgeons to come and look at you. And this was in the evening. And the surgeon literally looked and said, you need to come into hospital like now. And I was like, what do you mean? I just did not one part of me expected it.
To see?
Yeah, so they scanned. They could see that it was my bowels that had come out, basically. And so I just didn't expect it. So then I literally said, please, can I go home? I just want to prepare. And I was breastfeeding, so I suddenly thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to express milk. Like, how am I going to feed her if I'm on the operating table? So they let me go home and I could do all of that.
Were you in pain?
Yeah, really, really bad. I knew it wasn't right. It was not right. Then the next morning I was straight back in, and going off to theatre was like the worst. Like handing her over to my mum was just, I was a right mess.
Really?
It was really hard. So, there was one thing that like made me smile. I got into theatre. And I was like lying on the table, and the porter that had brought me across was so lovely, and he was like talking to me. Obviously, I was like in floods of tears, and he said, "Oh, I brought Pete here into this theatre when he had." So the way Pete and I met was that my dad had operated on him. Like, we were then friends after that for years, and it was in the same theatre. And he said this was exactly where he lay, and then this is the room where he met your dad. And I was like, oh, and it was just such a nice moment of like, okay, that's a really nice thing,
a reassuring thing.
Yeah, it was just something that took my mind off it. So yeah, then the recovery from that was quite awful.
Really?
Yeah, so that was really quite painful. So I was in hospital for, I can't even remember now, probably 2 or 3 days, and then the recovery was really, really slow. They had to obviously do quite a lot of stitching up and
moving things around.
So the pain was quite bad. But feel like I'm pretty much back to health now.
But pretty much back to health now. Arabella is over 1 year old. You know what I mean? It's not like you are doing a great thing of, but it's all right. But
it was hard at the time.
The fact that you are pretty much back to health now just shows how terrible it was.
Yeah, it was quite bad, to be honest. I felt really lucky. Pete was amazing. My mum and dad were amazing. Everyone, and the NHS, honestly, I can't thank enough the doctors who looked after me, and the nurses and the midwives were like absolutely amazing.
Have you looked into, though, why that would have happened?
They don't know. They said I'm like a strange...
So is it something that your body just reacts and causes to
There
happen?
was some kind of defect in the muscle in my tummy, quite high up, that just, whether it was caused from the previous C-section, whether it just happened in the pregnancy and we didn't know about it, they don't really know. Maybe they'll write me up as a case, because everyone I've seen, obviously it required quite a lot of follow-up and things like that afterwards as well, but everyone who I've seen has been like, well, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
I think, oh, okay. But I never spoke about it at the time, because I think, I don't know why I didn't. I think...
Also, it's your time. You've got to allow your time to process. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think everyone's really different. Sometimes people process as they share, and other people have to kind of take a step back and go, actually, I need to sit with this before I talk about it.
I think that's what it was. And I also, I don't know, I didn't want to kind of make a drama about it. You know, when you always feel like, I just felt like, actually, I'm just going to deal with this, and then... yeah, maybe today clearly I'm not ready to talk about it. Look, I've become an emotional mess. So sorry. But it's hard. It was the handing her over.
Yeah.
That was the worst part of it, was just, and then once I came round again, I was okay. Obviously the recovery was hard, but it was, oh God, it was just so tricky. Where I was really lucky was they allowed me to be looked after by the midwives afterwards.
Right. So
Otherwise,
you're back on that ward rather than...
otherwise she would have had to be at home, and I'd have had to be separated from her all that time. So that's where they were, and they said they always do that, try and,
Yeah. So was she able to stay with you in hospital?
Yeah, so she stayed with me. Yeah. So that was like, because, I was breastfeeding her and things like that. So that was all I was thinking about, was like, don't take my baby away from me.
Emily, I'm going to put this out there. You haven't been away from Arabella since she's been born. This is something we've spoken about a couple of times.
Yes.
Do you think that this start
I never
has
thought
something
of that.
to do with it?
Maybe. I actually had never thought of that. Yeah, you could be right.
That fear of handing her over, knowing that you're going into surgery. You know the risks from surgery. You know you're being cut open. You know what complications can arise. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Maybe you should be a psychologist.
Well, maybe both a little bit of therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was saying that flippantly, but that thing of maybe there is something to unpack there, because it's such a massive thing, and you've never spent a night away from her, and it's a big thing that you're trying to work up towards. And I know we all feel it, but maybe there is something a little bit.
I do find it really hard. I have left her during, like, obviously today, I've left her with Pete. He's doing so well. He's really getting her routine. He's fab. So daytime, I've got quite good.
Yeah.
But there's something about putting her to bed, or at least, even if I'm out in the evening, I always go, this is a really weird thing. I don't know if you ever did this. I just love her smell. I did it with all the kids.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I just go in and just have a little sniff. And then
I even know now the 11-year-old, I'm like, oh, you smelly
it's just
boy.
the smell. They just smell so amazing. I have this thing about her feet as well. The smell of her feet is really strange. Pete's like, you're so weird. But there's just something about that. As long as I've sort of seen her and I just sort of, settle her in her bed and.
But also maybe it's also because she's your last, and you kind of, I do think we hold on to that a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But for other things with the third, I don't know about you, but I'm like, I'll be fine. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Some things I'm really blasé about. Like the older two are so sweet. I don't know what your older two were like, but they just absolutely dote on her and adore her. And where I thought the novelty would have worn off by now, a bit like when, I don't know, you get a pet and they're really, I'll feed the fish for the first few months, and then, no, sorry, Mum, can you feed the fish?
Yours.
Whatever it is, but they've not been like that with her. They absolutely love her. And they'll be like, Mum, she's crawling too near to that table. And I say, guys, she's got to learn. She can't hurt herself on anything around here, but she's got to learn. You've got to let her go a little bit. Mum, she's gone out the door. I said, no, it's okay. I can see her. She's all right. I'm watching her. We've got no steps in our house. Like the whole first floor is completely flat. So I know she can't go anywhere. Mum, she's going near the stairs. She's all right. I'm watching her.
See, my boys are like that with my niece, so Tom's sister, Carrie. They absolutely adore Mabel, but they're just so close to her all the time. It's like, we know that she just let it, give her some space.
Let her roam.
Yeah. So I love seeing them.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. Belle's got this thing about eating soil. She just...
Maybe they should watch her. Just saying.
God. But it's one of those of like, I don't want to have to keep picking her up. I want her to be able to touch the soil and feel it. And then every now and then, she'll almost do it like, you're not looking at me. She'll just grab it and just eat so quickly. And me and Pete are like, oh, for goodness sake, not again. She's eaten another. Even if I'm sat right next to her, the soil.
I'm sure some gut health doctor right now is going, this is very good.
She's had at least 3 mouthfuls of soil, like full mouthfuls. And then I'm trying to like scrape it out of her mouth. Oh, gosh.
Gut health, Emily, gut health, I'm sure.
She seems to be doing it less. I think she's learned that it just doesn't taste quite horrible. Nice. But it's that balance between like, I like to let her just, because that's how they learn, isn't it? It's how they build up strength as well, is by going and exploring and pulling themselves up on things and, opening a cupboard or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I haven't got any cupboard locks yet. She can't quite open our kitchen cupboards. But when she can, I will have to probably do something. But
yeah,
I like her just exploring.
Yeah, no, that's nice. It also encourages them, doesn't it, to just
be
explore.
Inquisitive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that.
Do you think you knew before the complications that was going to be it?
Yes.
Or have they cemented it?
It's absolutely cemented now, but we'd always said it would be the last anyway.
Yeah.
5's enough. We don't have any more bedrooms in the house, for starters. So that's a good enough reason. The car we'd have to get a bus.
Yeah.
We actually don't even have a 7-seater anymore, actually, because Junior and Princess can both drive.
Amazing.
I know. But still, no. So we knew, but then...
We have a 7-seater just so that the fighting can stop. No. Just because 3 in the back, unless I'm sat in there with them, they will squabble. I've seen great things on Instagram where people put like cardboard boxes between the
such a good
cardboard
idea.
sheets. So good. Because if they can't see each other, they can't feel each other breathe. It's great.
Do they squabble with your youngest? Because our eldest 2 squabble together like...
Oh no, Max
terribly.
is now in the fold as well. He's absolutely in the fold. So now one of them goes in the back. At least there's a bit of distance. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Maybe we need to do that. Or I need to put the car seat...
But if they're not arguing, then it's all right.
Maybe not.
It depends where the ISOFIX is, I guess.
Oh, yeah, maybe not.
But I mean, if they're not arguing, yeah. But
they love each other, but they just...
I think that's what I think siblings, they see the best of each other and they see the worst of each other. I think they experiment. I think they are the people that they feel the most comfortable with. So behaviour spills out in a way that they simply cannot act at school or in an everyday setting.
What makes us laugh is that Millie, when I was pregnant with Belle, we said, right, Millie, it's the time you're going to have your own room. So the spare room became Millie's room. And, I decorated it for her and made it all girly and everything. And she stayed up there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's just gone, because she was sharing with Theo before, she's gone right back. So they argue and squabble with each other. And she goes, that's it. I'm not staying in your room tonight. She sure does stay in the room with him every night. Even though she's got her bedroom upstairs, which is kind of great because it means we can actually still use it as a spare room if we need it. But they just gravitate back to each other. So they love each other. But then just squabble.
Yeah.
From first thing in the morning. Do you have that?
Yeah, absolutely.
The first thing I'll
There's
hear.
always something.
Mum, Millie pushed me on the shoulder.
I mean, how do you navigate the fact that, when everyone is home, when Junior and Princess are home, there is it's such a big age, difference between top to the bottom. Like, what is that family dynamic like? Is it a case of everyone just getting stuck in?
Yeah, I think so. Like, they have a lovely relationship, all of them together.
Yeah.
It's really sweet. Even though the older two obviously now are
They have
out
their
and
own
about
lives,
a lot
yeah.
more, they're busy and they're doing their own thing. When they see the younger kids, which obviously they do, like quite a lot, but less than they're not in for dinner every night, for example.
But, yeah.
They just love them. It's just so sweet. And they get the biggest hugs and, it's so nice.
Yeah.
And I almost think, like I said earlier, the age gap is so big that it kind of makes it actually easier because they're not in competition with each other.
Yeah.
It's like the younger kids understand there's a completely different set of rules for the older two because they're basically grown up.
Yeah.
But they're so sweet with them. So, like, Princess will go and pick the kids up from school, or they're lovely. They're really lovely.
Yeah.
It's nice.
One thing we both have is that our eldest children are going to secondary school in September.
No.
Can we just?
No, I can't. I can't manage it. It just makes my head explode.
I don't understand how we got here. I needed to send photos in the other day. I don't know if you've had to do it yet, where photos of them when they first started, like when they first started nursery. And oh my gosh, how young they look, but how also that thing of it really doesn't seem like that long ago.
No,
I know everyone says that. I'll enjoy it. It goes so fast when really most people are just like, I'm just in survival mode. So I don't feel like that's always helpful. But it's so bizarre to think they're now going to take on this whole new adventure that actually we're not as much of a part of.
No, I know.
No, I know there's already like a Year 7 WhatsApp group, but really us parents aren't going to be doing the same thing.
I felt, I don't want to say sad, that's the wrong word, but I almost felt like it had passed me by in a really weird way. When I was looking back at the pictures of her, I thought, I don't know if I've been enough in the moment through all these years. Like, where's that time gone? I almost feel like I'm not ready for her to quite do it yet. Even though I think she is ready.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to be fab. I think she's going to be amazing, but I don't feel like I'm quite ready for it. I'm just not ready for it.
No, I'm not. Emily, if you could write a letter on being a mum, who would you write it to and what would you say?
I think this might be a really boring answer. I think I'd write it to my girls who may be a mum one day. And I think I would just say to them, kind of what we were saying then, be in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy every moment and cherish those moments because they do pass you by. And that saying of, the years feel like days and the days feel like years, that one is really, really true. Yeah. And that's the one thing I kind of wish I'd done more, is just kind of notice things and appreciate things as they come up, even if they are the kind of day-to-day things, just to be there and, just enjoy it. But also I think I'd say to them that it's not all easy being a mum at all. There are really difficult things and that's fine and normal. It is also absolutely lovely and amazing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I would summarise it, I think.
We end the podcast with you completing 3 sentences. Mm-hmm. The first one is being a mum means.
I think being a mum means love, like unlocking feelings that you didn't even know you had, and unlocking love that you didn't know you had. How will you have enough love for more than one child? When you have another child, you think, I haven't got any more love left, and you just have. And it's probably a bit of a cliche answer, but I think it's true. I think
cliches are generally cliches because they're true. You know what I mean? They're said so much.
Yeah,
there's truth in them.
I think you just find new emotions in yourself that you just didn't know were even there. It's quite amazing.
Yeah. Next sentence is, since having children,
So I think, I was thinking about this, and I remember a moment after Millie was born, I was exhausted. She'd just been born, and I said to my mum, I need to sleep. I'm so tired. Because obviously I'd just given birth. So I laid there and closed my eyes. About 5 seconds later, she started crying. And I remember thinking, it was that like click moment of, I don't come first anymore. Oh my gosh, she needs to be fed. I'm going to have to feed her. So I actually really think of it as a positive that, like, since becoming a parent, I don't put myself first anymore. Yeah. But it's really lovely that you have such like care for somebody else that it's just an automatic like joy to put them ahead of yourself. And I really love that because it just comes, you know, and I always think that's the kind of the crux of being a parent, isn't it? If you put your kids first, then you'll always make the right decision, even if with hindsight you think I could have done it differently. As long as you're putting them first, you're doing it right.
And finally, I'm happy when?
I'm actually happy when we're just all together on the sofa. That I've got one here, one there, one on the other side, Pete there. You know when you just have...
Pete's tiny, just in here.
Yeah, Pete's there. Got my arms around everyone. You know when you just have that moment where you're like, wow, like this is our family. I've done this. This is great. Just when we're all together. It doesn't happen often because obviously people are running around everywhere. But you know, you just have that moment where you're like, oh yeah, I've made these humans.
Look what we've created.
This is great. I love that. And the other thing, I love going to watch them do things. You know when you go and watch like a music performance, or I just sit there like, oh, I'm so proud. I love that. I'm really the embarrassing mum, like, clapping. That's the other thing. I know they're completely different things, but...
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. Watching them.
Yeah.
Do things.
I'd just be so proud. It could like just explode out of you with the pride.
Yeah. Honestly, watching Buzz in Starlight, I actually felt this because he moved a piece of set at one point. And I was like, oh, he's even moving furniture well. You know, like,
but that's important. That's a very important part.
It is. Yeah, thank you, Emily.
It is.
Emily, thank you so much. I have absolutely loved this.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm actually really glad that we didn't do you two together, because it's been lovely just hearing about your views on parenting and your experience of motherhood and fatherhood separately. So thank you very much.